Were you anticipating this video this week? Were you putting up unreasonable expectations for me? Because I can't stand it. I'm looking in the mirror and I feel it. I feel your expectations for me. I was anticipating it though. Let's get into it.
What was that about?
I don't know. What's up, human beings? Welcome back to another Midweek Speak here on the Games Groceries channel. And like we always say, you can follow us on social media to answer these questions. We want to hear your feedback about all these questions, more or less, that I want to hear from you. So you can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter at Gaming Groceries. Follow us on Instagram, Games Groceries, all one word. And also just find us on Facebook, Games and Groceries. We're on there. We're on Facebook. Check it out. It's there. I promise you. But we asked you the question this week: how has anticipation ruined a game for you? And I kind of like where we're going with this, where I'm asking a question that kind of involves the podcast because it kind of brings you into the same discussion. If you haven't checked out the podcast yet, this week's podcast, we talked about anticipation. I'll link it right up here if you missed it, but we want to hear from you. So I think before we even start this conversation is that I think we need to know the difference between light speculation and discussion about a game versus actual anticipation for a game.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think the difference would be, like you said speculation and anticipation.
Yeah.
So speculation is when you're like talking like
anticipation. Yeah.
I wasn't done.
Oh.
I was saying speculation is when you're talking to someone, like saying like, oh, I think they're gonna do this. Like, what do you think they're gonna do? Like talking about the game. Whereas anticipation is like excited for you. Like you're looking forward to this game coming out, no matter what it has. Like, yes, that anticipation usually leads to speculation. Right. But they're very different.
And that's the thing. I think it's just the mentality. We talked about this on the podcast, is that the mentality behind it. Good job, Adam. But the speculation of it and discussion, it's fun. It's light. You see a trailer on E3 or PAX. You see a trailer somewhere and you're just like, wow, like that looks amazing. What do you think it's going to be like? And it sparks this little discussion. Yeah. But like you said, anticipation is just setting those unrealistic expectations, assumptions about games, and it just ruins it for you. And I think that's where I'm trying to go with this, is that these kind of anticipations, expectations can ultimately lead you to not enjoy the game. Because the game comes out and you're just thinking to yourself, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I assumed. Yeah. Did you not hear my mind, my expectations, assumptions, if you will? But you kind of already set the bar for yourself. And if the game doesn't go on that bar, then you kind of ruined it for yourself. I almost feel like it's worse than spoilers. Yeah. In some cases. But we got some answers from you on social media. How has anticipation ruined a game for you personally? And we got a few answers here.
So our first answer is from @ConsoleCrew, and they said, it's frustrating when the game doesn't live up to the hype. First game that comes to mind in recent memory would be Fallout 76. Wes, just felt like they didn't take enough time in making the game what a lot of fans really wanted from them. No NPCs made the story pointless.
So, speaking on this personally, as a big Fallout fan, I like what he says, is that Wes, but my name's Adam, actually.
Good job.
Thanks. But it felt like they didn't take enough time to make what the fans wanted. There's no NPCs, and this is exactly what I argued against Fallout 76. If Bethesda Game Studios want to make an online game, I wish they did it with a totally new IP, because Fallout is known for its NPCs and its storyline with the NPCs. But, you know, I think he's right on that, but I think we all assumed what it would be, and because it didn't live up to expectations, that's what we got mad about. Yeah. So then we have an answer from our good friend Nikki. @Commander Nikki has this to say. Wow, I had to think about that for a while. Make you think. Nice. I think, or at least I don't remember, that a game ever disappointed me that I was looking forward to for a long time. But something does come to mind. The Witcher 3. I went in expecting to love it as much as I love Skyrim, which it didn't. Especially the way a friend of mine recommended it to me. I really thought I would love it, but it was way too much new stuff for me all at once, I guess. The two swords confused me, meaning the steel and the silver sword. And the text on the screen was way too tiny in my opinion. I ended up getting really frustrated. So I more or less rage quit the game. I might go back to it one day and give it another try. As you already said in one of the podcasts we did, as one of your reasons to play it, it's a huge game in video game history. And that definitely deserves to be looked into. And yeah, I'm currently playing Witcher 3 right now in my backlog journey, I guess you can say. Made a New Year's resolution, and Witcher 3 was one on them. And I see what she means, and it is a lot. And a lot of people described it as kind of like a Skyrim experience. And that's where you set the expectation. That's where I set my bar. Looks like that's where Nikki set her bar.
Yeah.
Skyrim. And playing it more, Witcher 3 is, okay, in my opinion, nothing like Skyrim. They're completely different games. It's almost like comparing, I don't know, Rainbow Six Siege to Overwatch. I've definitely never been told they're two different games before in my life. I got it. I get it. Josh. But that's the thing, is that, yeah, once you set an expectation, if it's going to be like a certain game, that can ruin it for you.
Yeah, I think whenever you're about to play a game or someone refers a game to you that they say, oh, if you like this game, then you'll like this game, you automatically have that expectation that it's going to be similar or you're going to get the same feeling from it, and it's kind of disappointing when it's not.
Yeah.
Our next answer comes from More365, and he says, that damn music. Having to guess the puzzles with no dots, it's all I look for. Wait, you're talking about anticipation on NES, aren't you?
No.
Not at all. But that works too.
I guess so. Moving on. But definitely check out his podcast, the Retro Gamer Podcast. Really cool guy. We met him at Long Island Retro. So thanks for your answer, but no.
But that's not what we're talking about.
Then we also have our friends over at Playable Characters Podcast who see, I don't know why he phrased it like this. He said, C2 Red Dead Redemption. Don't know what he meant by that, but I clarified with him. It is Red Dead Redemption 2. He did not like it. And I think a lot of people, you can argue the case that like, oh, Red Dead Redemption 2 was great. And I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was a lot. Like
it was. And I remember you were like getting near the end, but you were still at a few hours till you're like, what in the world? Like it was getting a bit too much. Yeah,
it was a lot. And I don't know. I can see why people don't like it because you are expecting it to be a certain game or a certain length, like not 70 hours long just for the main story.
Yeah.
But, give it what you mean. I think, we all anticipated that this is going to be the game of a generation. And it's just a really good game for some people.
Next, we have Cito Sweet Home. And he says, probably when it doesn't live up to the hype. One example for me is Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes, and Phantom Pain. They weren't bad games. I enjoyed them a lot, but you could tell it was unfinished, especially compared to the other Metal Gear games.
Ooh, Nick DePaolo's not going to like you, Cito.
Yeah. Of course, we know why it was unfinished, but the point still stands. Another one was The Stick of Truth. This was hyped to me as an awesome RPG that will blow my mind. And so I got it when it was still freely bundled with the Fractured But Whole. There is a year gap between when I got the first trophy for it and then when I got the trophy when I beat the game. It was just a standard RPG to me, and yeah, it's probably the best South Park video game because let's be honest, the others in the past were trash.
Truth.
It wasn't mind-blowing or anything to me, but just a standard RPG. It didn't live up to the hype. Which I think that's like just one of the worst things when it just doesn't live up to the hype.
And even talking about Metal Gear Solid 5, even just the Phantom Pain, I remember when that game first came out and it got tens, all around perfect scores. And I was just like, wow, I really should play this. I got around to playing it when it was free. And it just, like what he said, they weren't bad games at all. It's just that they weren't games for me.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. Just that it wasn't my kind of game, but everybody kept hyping it up for me, so I had a certain expectation for it.
Yeah.
And especially the South Park games, like blowing you away, and comes down to it's just not your type of RPG.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but like people hype it up to be like, this is the only kind that you'll ever play.
People need to learn how to recommend things properly.
Yeah. And so closing off the comments, we finally leave off with Nick DiPaolo's answer, which I think is a perfect way to end things off. Nick DiPaolo says this: it's just too much hype for a product that ended up being just like every other game. And there's a lot to unpack there because it's so deep. I'm just kidding. But that's what it is. It's just too much hype for a product that's going to be like every other game you ever play. It's not necessarily a bad thing that's going to be like every other game, but it is what it is. And I feel like we put too much expectations behind these titles.
Yeah.
When in all actuality, it's just like, enjoy what you enjoy. And that's what it should come down to. Before we go into our closing thoughts, we just want to remind all of you to write your thoughts in the comments down below. Has anticipation ever hurt a game for you? We want to hear all of your answers in the comments down below. So we want to read those. And especially, if you like this episode so far, like and share it so that your friends can know about it and your friends can share how anticipation has hurt a game. And if you haven't yet, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when all these episodes come out and you can grow into the human being playthrough, because we're all human beings here and we're all playing through life together.
What?
Mwah.
Ew.
But going into our final thoughts here, what I'm not trying to say is that you're not allowed to enjoy any game that's ever hyped up, ever, but putting these unreasonable expectations behind a game will ultimately lead you to spoiling it for you, spoiling your enjoyment for it. Going back to my own, like right now I'm playing through The Witcher 3. I know finally you're seeing the date, like you're just playing in 2020. Well, kind of, I know the game, I've seen it, but now I'm finally playing it. But it kind of sets up the game to this unfair failure for you when that's not the intended message behind the game.
I know. I mean, we mentioned this, or I mentioned this in the podcast, that for me, it's like when it comes to sequels of games, that anticipation where you're expecting it to be just like the first part or whatever. Yeah. And it's not. And I brought up Life is Strange 2. Yeah. How we love Life is Strange 1. It was amazing. It's our favorite thing. And then Life is Strange 2 was still good, but because it had that connection, it's what made that game not as good. Yeah. Because of the connection of the two. If Life is Strange 2 was a totally different name. Yeah. I probably wouldn't even think about it. It would be a good game.
But yeah, we can discuss games all we want. We can just have fun speculations of what we think. I still remember going back to your Life is Strange. I still remember when Before the Storm was first announced and they said there's going to be mystical elements. Me and you had fun discussions of what that's going to look like because Chloe doesn't have mystical powers. So we just had fun little conversations about it. But I feel like when we entered into Life is Strange 2, those little speculations turned into assumptions.
Yeah, and it's this is what it needs to have, and if it doesn't have that, we're gonna be mad.
And I think that ruined the game for us, mostly because we had certain expectations for it. Yeah. And that might be everybody's case. It's fun to just discuss things, but it's another thing to just...
When you start to get expectations, that's when you're setting yourself up for failure.
Or even just setting the creators up for failure. Yeah. An unfair failure. Yeah. I'm going to get off my little soapbox here. I'm going to get off my little high horse here to end the video there. So here I go. All right, I'm off my high horse. Everybody see me? I'm at eye level. Awesome.
You're adorable.
Again, what are your thoughts in the comments down below? We want to hear them. And I think that will do it for this video. So again, if you haven't yet, definitely subscribe to Games and Groceries because we are on a 2020 vision. We're hoping to grow the channel even more this year. I probably shouldn't say this because Liz will probably cut it out. Maybe. But, we do have this vision, this plan, probably to rebrand the Games and Groceries channel. So here's hoping 2020 goes well and we execute it well. Yeah. But don't build expectations for it because that will set us up for failure. Cool. All right, that does it for us. We'll see you in the next episode and we'll see you then.
Bye.